Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, get started here. Just a few little updates here. Coming up again in June, we'll have the Ask the Mayor. So hope you will join myself and Councilman Jeff Vandry on June the 17th from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the Groves RV Park for an open discussion about all things Pendleton. Love to see you come out. Also, just to mention, Grooving on the Green begins this month, and it will be held on the Village Green each Wednesday in June, beginning at 6 p.m., which will be tomorrow night. So be there, be square. It's going to be a lot of fun. Also, on the bright side, we were awarded a $168,562 Rural Infrastructure Authority grant for water and sewer planning project. So that's a bright spot that I have to share with you. And also, I have just some fun facts here to know and tell for June 2025. So bear with me on this. We have some fresh population estimates from Census Bureau to share with you. Anderson County's estimated population as of July 1st, 2024 was 217,183 persons. That means we have about 13,000 more residents than we did in 2020, representing 6.4% population growth rate during that time. Annual growth rates have ranged between 1.4% and 1.9% since 2020. So what does 13,000 new residents mean? Sometimes it helps to put things in perspective. Looking at things in terms of municipal populations, 13,000 people is the rough equivalent of 0.4 Andersons, 3 Beltons, 4 Pendletons, and 12 Ivas. We are the 9th most populous county in the state, having ceded 8th place to Berkeley County some years back. Berkeley County's population grew by 14.2% from 2020 to 24, second only to Horry County at 16.9%. Horry County has added almost 60,000 residents since 2020. Spartanburg grew by 12.1%, 39,800 added, and Greenville by 8.2%, 43,500 added. It appears Greenville County's population will hit 600,000 around 2027. 14 South Carolina counties have lost population since 2020, including Sumter and Orangeburg. So with all this population growth, we surely must be issuing a record number of residential building permits, right? Actually, no. The number of private housing structures authorized by building permits for Anderson County in 2024 was 1,255. That was the lowest total since 2019. The record high was observed in 2005 when the county issued 1,931 permits for private housing structures. Anderson County recently reached a significant milestone regarding its workforce. For the first time ever, total employment in our county has exceeded 100,000 persons, and it has done so for 3 consecutive months. February was 100,267, March was 100,530, and April was 100,533. And I don't want to bore you with all that, but that was just some interesting stuff I thought you might want to hear. So moving on from that, I got something else here I would like to do. I have, actually, this is a huge privilege I have here tonight because I have the privilege of doing something that quite honestly doesn't happen nearly enough in municipalities, I think, across the country. And that's recognizing one of the most critical yet often least appreciated roles in local government, and that'd be the town administrator. While many professions have their own week or month of recognition, it's rare to find the same level of appreciation shown to those who quietly and consistently keep a town running behind the scenes. That's why we're taking this opportunity to shine a well-deserved spotlight on someone who has dedicated himself to serving this community with integrity, professionalism, and heart. Steve Miller has been a steady hand, a problem solver, and a true servant leader for the town of Pendleton. And it's not an easy job, folks, and certainly not one that comes with much. But tonight, we want to change that. It's my honor to recognize Steve for his outstanding work and commitment to the town. I'd like to read a proclamation in his honor now. Whereas whereas the town administrator plays a critical role in the effective operation of municipal government under the mayor-council form of government, serving as the chief administrative officer responsible for overseeing daily operations, implementing policies adopted by town council, managing town departments, and ensuring the delivery of quality services to citizens. And whereas the position of town administrator is often one of the least recognized and most underappreciated in local government, where the demands are high, the responsibility is wide-ranging, and the recognition limited. And whereas Steve Miller, the town administrator for the town of Pendleton, has consistently demonstrated professionalism, dedication, and an unwavering commitment to the betterment of the community. And whereas Mr. Miller has been instrumental in securing millions of dollars in grant funding for vital infrastructure projects, including water and sewer improvements, roadway upgrades, and walkability initiatives that enhance the quality of life for all Pendleton residents. And whereas through his leadership and financial stewardship, the town received a favorable rating for bond issue supporting the expansion of the town's wastewater treatment plant, a critical project for Pendleton's continued growth and sustainability. And whereas Mr. Miller has worked diligently to improve employee compensation and benefits, strengthening the town's ability to recruit and retain a dedicated workforce while fostering a supportive work environment. And whereas beyond his professional duties, Mr. Miller has immersed himself in the Pendleton community, becoming an active participant and a valued presence at town events and initiatives. And whereas his role, while not easy, is vital to the success and progress of the town of Pendleton, and the Pendleton Town Council wishes to publicly recognize and express our gratitude for his continued service and accomplishments. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the mayor and town council of the town of Pendleton, South Carolina, that the week of June 15th through June 21st, 2025 is hereby designated as Town Administrators Week in the town of Pendleton, South Carolina. We encourage all residents, staff, and community partners to join us in recognizing the hard work, dedication, and meaningful contributions of our town administrator, Steve Miller, and to express appreciation for his vital role in ensuring our town's continued success and well-being. Steve, we really appreciate you. Congratulations on this. And if you would come down front, I'd like to present you his proclamation.
Yeah, if you kind of come in the middle, then we can have council in the background. You take one this way, just in case. Perfect, thank you.
Steve, can't thank you enough.
I appreciate it. I like how you did the week of my birthday too.
So she broke out the real camera for you,
I
not
know.
the camera phone. Yeah, you special. Congratulations.
Okay, next on our agenda, we have approval of minutes. Hopefully council's had a chance to look at the minutes and review them. Having said that, are there any changes that need to be made to them? If not, do I hear a motion to pass them as presented?
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. We're unanimous. Next, we have public notice for the election coming up in November the 4th. So I'm going to read this just briefly here. This item serves as public notice regarding the upcoming general election for the town of Pendleton. The election will be held to fill the offices of mayor and town council representatives for wards 1 and 3. The notice includes key information such as the election date, filing period, and voter registration deadlines. This item is for informational purposes only. No action from council is required, but I'll just go over it. It's November the 4th. The following offices shall be included: mayor for term expiring November 30th, 2029, council member from Ward 1 for term expiring November 30th, 2029, council member from Ward 3 for term expiring November 30th, 2029, and people desiring to vote in the upcoming election must be registered by October the 3rd, 2025. To register, one must contact the County Board of Voter Registration. Citizens desiring to be candidates for one of the above listed offices may file a petition at the Pendleton Town Hall right here at 310 Greenville Street, Pendleton, South Carolina. Books will be open for filing at noon on August 7th, 2025, and they will remain open during regular business hours until noon on August 21st, 2025. The filing fee for mayor is $25. The filing fee for council is $10. This is a nonpartisan election and no party affiliation shall be placed on the ballot. The precinct and polling location is as follows. Pendleton Precinct votes at the Pendleton Elementary School at 902 East Queen Street here in Pendleton. You will be asked to show one of the following photo IDs at your polling place. That'd be South Carolina driver's license, ID card issued by South Carolina Department of Motor Vehicles, South Carolina voter registration card with photo or federal military ID, or U.S. passport. The polls shall be open at 7 a.m. on election day and close at 7 p.m. At 9 a.m. on said election day, the poll managers will begin examining the absentee ballot return envelopes. This examination will be held at the Anderson County Board of Elections at 301 North Main Street in Anderson. On Thursday, November 6th at 11:30 a.m. at the Anderson County Board of Elections at 301 North Main Street, Anderson, the Municipal Election Commission will hold a hearing to determine the validity of the ballots challenged in this election. In the event of a tie, any runoff will be held 2 weeks after the election on Tuesday, November 18th, 2025. That's just for information. Next, we have public comments. There is a 3-minute time limit on public comments. You must be a resident of the town of Pendleton, a business owner in the town of Pendleton, or town property owner to speak in public comments. Having said that, is there anyone like to come up and speak? If so, raise your hand. Yes, sir, come on. And please state your name and your address, even though we know who you are.
Will do it. My name is John Perkins, and I live at 140 South Mechanic Street here in town. Congratulations, Steve. I wanted to talk to you tonight about, I tell everybody I've got the best job in South Carolina because I'm the executive director of Pendleton Historic Foundation, and I'm going to talk to you just for a minute about Pendleton Historic Foundation. We were formed in 1960. We've got 9 properties. We're somewhere between $12 and $15 million in value with those properties. We've got 200 members. We've got 20 board members. We have interactions with about 10,000 people visiting Pendleton every year. 10,000 people come to Pendleton and we interact with those folks. We partner with Lake Hartwell Country, visit Anderson County, and the state of South Carolina. Just for a second, I want to bring up the elephant in the room. Later on, you guys are going to have the chance to approve a budget. And I've had the opportunity to sit and listen and watch the process of the budget being formed. But of all the non-for-profits that are on there receiving money from the town, the Pendleton Historic Foundation is receiving 0. So as one of the entities, maybe the only entity not-for-profit that's actually bringing money to the town instead of taking money away, our reward was 0. I'm here tonight before you just to say, maybe it's time. Maybe there's a number of not-for-profit that are applying or asking for funds. Maybe it's time to reorganize and to take a look at the not-for-profits to see if there's a better way of handing out money. During those meetings, I've heard one of you suggest that, and just think it's time for that to be done. And last of all, on June 21st, we're going to have a family day over at Woodburn House. And I wanted to invite all you guys to come and kind of see what we're into and what we're about, and just enjoy June the 21st. I appreciate the time tonight.
Thank you for your comment. Appreciate that. Anyone else like to make a comment? If so, raise your hand. Okay, hearing none, seeing none, we'll go ahead and close public comments and we'll move on to some reports we have. The first, which is the police department report. We have our chief, Robbie Crosby, here to give us that report.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Good evening. Steve, congratulations. We all know that Aubrey really runs everything. So I know that. So we know who the boss is. So last month we answered over 600 calls for service. Trying to get a little bit more to the nitty gritty. Pendleton officers responded to 483 of those calls, and 120 of those were answered by sheriff's deputies. 45 incident reports were taken in May. which was very high, and I'll explain a little bit in a second why. 12 were cleared by arrest and/or citation. 24 warning tickets were issued and 24 citations were issued. So to start on the 45 incident report, so we had 2 subdivisions 2 weeks ago that were had almost every single car in there in the subdivisions broken into. That was Queens Mill and the Preserves at Pendleton. Even my car got pulled on. So it's a group of individuals. They were seen in Powdersville as well. The sheriff's office is actually working on that and tracking those individuals. So hopefully once they get an ID, then I can tie them back to, the multiple reports that we took for prosecution as well. On a little bit better news and good stuff. So Officers Bishop and Westcott responded to a structure fire on Shirley Street several weeks ago, along with the fire department. During that time, Officer Bishop pulled an unconscious person who was suffering from smoke inhalation outside the residence as the fire department was arriving on scene. So again, I just wanted to give credit where credit's due. The officers doing what they're supposed to do above and beyond. So congratulations, Officer Bishop, on that. And the Pendleton Fire Department, as in May, answered 24 calls for service during that time frame. That's what I got. I will entertain any questions or comments.
Good, well, thank you, Chief.
Hearing none.
And the 2 neighborhoods, any ring camera pictures? Do you have any kind of?
Very, very little. And every single suspect was wearing hoodies, face mask, and gloves. And they're the exact same suspects that the sheriff's office has in their camera footage and stuff like that from the Powdersville auto break-ins.
So now what's the law regarding if somebody's breaking in something and, you own what we used to call a junkyard dog and they take a bite out of crime, what happens?
You mean when your dog's outside
Mhm.
and someone arrives on your property unwanted and that dog goes to defend your property?
Mhm.
Then the dog does what dogs do and defends your property.
That's good. So he stands his ground. takes
That
a
would
bite.
be correct.
Good.
That would be correct.
So, you don't see too many dogs in the yards now, but I think that you're gonna see some.
If we did, we'd probably get a call on them.
Probably, you're right about that.
So, anything else? All right. My esteemed colleagues.
Thank you, Chief. Next, we have the planning department report, and we have Dave Polson, our planner.
Mr. Mayor, Council, good evening. During the month of May, Planning and Zoning issued 25 permits. They broke down as the following. There was 10 new homes. They were built in the Champions Village development, the 19 homes behind the Circle K, and then the Morton Farm development off of Main Street Extension. Champions Village has probably got about 20 more homes to build, and they should probably be built out. So I know every time I come up here, we say Champions Village, but they're about built out. We did 1 new roof, 4 interior renovations, 1 new pool, 3 new accessory units, 1 new fence, and then 5 others, which were electrical, mechanical, and a new fence. Code enforcement, we answered 9 calls of code enforcement. I also gave you guys a list of what Owen is currently working on in code enforcement, just trying to keep track and let you know what he's doing and how much he has on his plate right now. And Owen's doing a really good job, and we're making some progress on the majority of those. Code enforcement also identified 10 businesses working inside town limits without a license, resulting in $938.58 collected in license fees and $175 collected in permit fees. So that really adds up at the end of the day.
Are any of these repeat offenders?
No, ma'am, not as of yet. So, because typically when we get them the first time, they're good for a year, and then we haven't had a reoccurring one yet that I'm aware of. It's a good question.
So on average each month, how many of these would you say we get?
We've probably been averaging about 6, and that's just the limited amount of time he's able to actually get out there and do the patrols for it. So, and of course with grass season coming up, it kind of increases, but it's a number that we hit
So
every
these
month.
are like landscapers.
A lot of them are landscapers, people just doing odd jobs, heating and air conditioning jobs, just rehab the houses, just people hiring people to come in and do their jobs or hiring them to do things for them. They have to get a permit for the jobs that they're doing. And that's where we're finding that. So that's typically the result of that. Good. So on May the 1st, staff met with a builder in the Merchants Gate subdivision. They've currently got a couple lots that they've sold, and they've got a couple developments coming in, a couple homes being built. They had some questions on the stormwater issues and how to handle it and what we required of it. So we were able to go over there and meet with them, and actually we're talking to them about what our requirements are, introduce them to the green infrastructure infill lot development standards that council, established a couple of years ago, and really gave them information on what is available for them to use as far as mitigating their stormwater. So we really had a good conversation with them, and I think that's going to go a long way when it comes to the builders building houses in that development. Also on May the 1st, staff met with Ms. Rebecca Vance. Rebecca is helping us work on the draft ordinance for the TIF district that we're doing. She is putting together a very rough draft that we're trying to go through and work through and see what we can put in there, what matches, what doesn't match. Our goal is to get that to the planning commission to get some feedback from them, and then have some public meetings and have some public referrals on that. The draft ordinance, what we're trying to do, because this is actually laid out as an overlay district, the outline is going to outline the purpose of the district. Why are we doing this? What are we doing here? It's also going to outline the use standards. What do we want to see here? Is it mixed use? Is it commercial? Is it single family home, multifamily? So it's really going to call all of that out and put it in a document that's going to be able to use that and show what's going to be built there.
And who is Rebecca Vance?
She's a consultant that has helped us with doing ordinances in the past.
Okay.
And I think it also is going to have the design principles of what we want to see built there, how it's built, what it looks like. A lot of input that we're going to request from citizens and council, and get every bit of input we can to make sure that what's built there is what's there. And these principles will go through and will actually, that's what will determine what gets there and what it looks like. And because it's an overlay district that we're kind of labeling it as, there'll be a review process. So if somebody wants to build a house there, they'll have to make sure they follow these processes. So it's going to be a very good document once we get it together. And again, we'll make sure that everybody gets a piece of it when we see it, when we get it together, where we can distribute it and make sure we get all the input we can on it. So it'll be very valuable to do that.
David,
Yes,
what
ma'am.
can we do? And I know they're postings when there is a public hearing, but I still feel that the people who are going to be affected by this TIF district, we need to make an extra effort to make sure those people are here and their voices are heard. And as I've said before, after we do that, if they don't show up, well, hey, we move forward without their opinions. But considering that district is an area, and I hate to use the term blighted, but that district is an area that has people who've been there for a long while. And I think we do a disservice when we don't make that extra effort for people who may not be of the upper echelons of the economic strata, or who don't necessarily show up for whatever reason. But I do know, here again, that walking when you're getting signatures pays off. I do know from collecting signatures over there that people are interested, and for whatever reason may not be able to actually show up here. But I think that this is too important for us not to have that voice recognized, heard, and listened to.
Yes, ma'am. And that's really important to us as well, because we want to make sure that we get the input from the people and the citizens that it's really affecting. So, we'll do all we'll advertise in a newspaper, we'll put it on the marquee out on Mechanic Street. We can do flyers on mailboxes, and we can put them on the trash cans. So we'll do everything we can possibly do to get the meeting notification out. We'll probably have it here and have it at a time that's available for most people. And all we can do is invite them, and hopefully they show up, because it really does, it makes a difference in the product. So that's something that we really will pay a lot of attention on. And we'll actually map out a plan for how we're going to do that. And we'll make sure everybody knows it.
Right.
Yes, ma'am. So on May the 9th, we also, something we're kind of proud of, we distributed the complete draft Unified Development Ordinance to the steering committee. We finally were able to get that document back. I was able to go through the entire document, and I kind of put together a little cheat sheet of what has kind of changed, or what's new, or what are some of the comments that were made from the steering committee, and put it all in a little short format so that you can kind of see it without having to go through the entire document. What we're trying to do now is we're trying to schedule another meeting with the steering committee so we can get their feedback. It's been distributed to all of them. For some reason, Rico and his wife wanted to have a baby this month, so it kind of messed our meeting up this month. We were going to try and get together. So if he's watching, congratulations on the newborn. But we will be getting a meeting together very soon with them to try and move this through the process of refining it, making sure it's what the town wants to see, and then get it through the approval process. So we're very glad that we're making some progress on that. So on May the 3rd, staff also attended the State of Pendleton, hosted by in partnership with Tri-County Technical College. This is a great annual event, and it really updates and insights for residents and visitors of what's going on in Pendleton and what we're doing. On May the 13th, planning staff and public works, along with representatives from GMC, met again with the owners of Main Exchange. We're trying to finalize a design idea for their changing of their side steps and entrance into the building. It's just something that's really playing into a larger project, and we want to make sure that, we get that information to you guys for approval and decide what's the best route to go on that. And then on May the 15th, planning staff assisted the Pendleton Design Review Board. They had 2 applications one was a facade change, which everybody I believe has seen on the apartments across the street at 401 Greenville Street. The Standing Oaks apartments, they changed the front facades on all their buildings. And then there was a home on Queen Street that did a facade or an addition, and both of those projects were approved by the board. We have the Planning Commission. There's a group development that's been presented for an application on Highway 76, and that will be at their June 12th, 2025 meeting. And that's all I have. I'm trying not to be too long, but I'll be glad to answer any questions if anybody has any.
Good.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Appreciate it. Next, we have the administrative report. Steve Miller.
Our current bill date was May 16th. We billed 8.3 million gallons of water. That's $81,000 in revenue, and 7.9 million gallons of sewer for $96,000 in revenue. We billed $28,269 on the flat rate, which is 456 homes and 63 apartments. We have total water and sewer connections, 4,457 on the system. For May, we rented the Depot building 4 times and Barracks Place shelters 11. We collected $44,311 in business license, $28,000 in motor vehicles, and $59,000 in property tax. We had 859 transactions in-house totaling $204,993 and 1,164 online transactions for $153,994. That's also includes 108 of those being the open forums for $68,954. Set off debt, collected $1,050 in our utility bills. And for the month of May, we entered 454 work orders and completed 427 of those. Some general updates. It's kind of fallen out of the news, but it hasn't fallen out of what we're tracking. We have an algae bloom in Lake Hartwell. We are tracking it at the water plant. Our water plant, for everybody here, is already set up to deal with that. We have activated charcoal that we can filter it through, and we have an O2 system that we can generate ozone to also clean the water and take out some of the taste and odor of it. But it is in the lake. It will probably be in the lake till fall. It's like it was last time, but it is not currently near our intake like it was last time, which is the good news, but it can move around. And as it gets hotter, it will trigger more blooms. Tri-County Tech, we have got notified by Tri-County Tech, and I just want to bring this up to council. They are having water issues, particularly at the Ruby Hicks building, getting water to the second floor of the Ruby Hicks. We're working with our engineers, their on-site facility engineers, and some other people, Tri-County Tech. I'm not going to say it's not our issue right now, but there is no other complaints leading into the college, and we haven't fed off a line on 76, and we haven't fed off a line coming off our water tower too. However, they have added what are called chiller units, and they have increased the size of the buildings, and our water system may not be calculated for all of that. So, and we have to figure it out prior to the fall semester.
So did they not have engineers and water people looking at this before they
It's,
brick and mortar?
they may not have, I don't want to say, there's actually a water system inside of us, so everything on that campus is theirs. And we just bring the water to them from some feed points. So we have no clue what they've done inside of campus.
Right.
And when they started doing the renovations, they didn't tell us they needed extra feed points or a larger line coming in
They
there.
just did it.
So, and now that they've got these chiller units on, and they have 2 of them on, and they have room for 2 more, we think that's the issue, but we're not sure yet. So our engineers are taking a bunch of data, and it happened today, actually. We had to run out there and start reading the towers and reading our pump times and reading some pressure gauges we have installed, trying to eliminate it off our side. We've exercised all the valves leading into the college and from point to make sure we didn't have a broke valve or a valve to shut. They've all been open. We think it's somewhere inside of campus after it leaves our metering point, but we're not sure.
But common sense tells me that if you are doing this building and you know that you may own your water system, but you've got to get it from somebody else, that you would have worked to make sure everything was going on. So to me, this just doesn't make sense. I mean, when you talk about wasteful spending, to me, that's wasteful spending, and engineers should have caught this before it even happened. That's just my 2 cents. I'm not an engineer. That's just common sense. Anyway, go ahead.
Back to, and actually it's good we have a large audience here. We have a penny sales tax referendum the county has approved. Y'all have a item on your agenda tonight. Anderson City is allowing us to recommend one of these seats for the Pendleton area to represent on that committee. The county gets 3 automatic appointments, and all the municipalities get 3 appointments also, but it's based on the municipality size, and Anderson takes a little over 2/3 of those appointments. And then, so they have offered Pendleton 1 and they have offered Belton 1 to kind of spread them out across the county. But that is coming up in November. If y'all appoint somebody, I recommend Anderson to appoint somebody. We have already done our PACER study. We did it 2 years ago. So we have all of our roads mapped. We have all of our roads measured, and we know which roads should be paved in which order, which puts us ahead of the pack on a lot of other cities. So we'll give that person the PACER study and go over it with them so they fully understand it. Fall Festival is October 25th, 2025. Applications were released at 8 a.m. on Monday. The majority of applications have been completed and paid for online. We have 61 applicants that have completed through open forums. That netted an income of $3,244, and 6 applicants that completed in person for an income of $350. Total income so far is $3,594 for that event, and I believe that event is almost full. It will probably be full by the end of the week for vendors at the rate they're going. Wastewater treatment plant, and I know these mean the whole, might not mean a lot to everybody, but we are moving through our wastewater treatment plant. We have about an 800-day construction cycle on it. We're on pay app 9. We have completed the IPS concrete. We've done all the leak down testing. We have started concreting the EQ liner. The drum screens arrived on site. The pipe from the small EQ basin to the new BNR is 50% complete, and the underground piping and digester is 90% complete. Duke has delivered our new transformers to the site, and the BNR equipment is starting to arrive on the site, and the digester leak test passed that we were doing last month. We are getting hit from tariffs on that job to the tune it's already about $50,000. We had that built into the CMAR, so we had already had an escalation cost in the CMAR, so we're eating into that escalation cost right now, but we are seeing those come through. Winston Street, you have the award on Winston Street for you tonight. So once that's awarded, we can set up a pre-construction meeting. Westinghouse Extension, and I know the question's on everybody. Duke has to move their lines. Duke was out there last week marking. They have split the project up in two. We have a line at the top. They're going to try to bring a crew out faster, move that line so we can open up Weaver Way, and then move the large power down at the bottom later on. They're also going to try talking to them to use an in-house crew to move it faster. And they actually emailed us back today. They had to get a new right-of-way for the 76 from somebody, and they believe they got to check the right-of-way department. They believe they got all that signed today. So that will allow them to issue the cost estimate back to ACTC. Town Hall and Veterans Park, these two projects are in your budget. We're going to meet with the architect on June 10th to try to create the bid packet. We're also going to try to put in there some additional projects just to make it a larger bid package, such as the fencing and the screening. We've got to redo at Public Works as the hurricane, the fence at the gravel parking lot, and reboarding the doghouse. If we can get a larger project, we're more likely to get a contractor to work on multiple sites. TIF district, which is the biggest thing, Calhoun Boulevard. We finished all the environmental. We're working toward the 30% plan on that. We finished all the topography. The transportation engineers are going to be sitting down with SCDOT to talk about the Queen Street alignments and start getting their input on the Queen Street alignments. We hope to have a complete 30% plan by the end of June, and that will be typical sections, construction plans, cost estimates. When we can get both that and the greenway system to 30% at the same time, we want to hold a shred and let people come in and make some comments on both of those, especially on the pedestrian and the speed control measures that we want on Queen Street. West Cox is still working with the property owners. We have almost a commitment from two of them. We still have one that's not. Knowing council doesn't want to use the condemnation process, if we can avoid it, we have reached out to Anderson District 4, who has indicated they're willing to sit down with us and look at exchanging some of their property in the district for the fire station. The greenway design is actually probably close to 30%, since it coincides with Calhoun and Queen Street. We hope to get Calhoun and Queen Street done, so if we looked at together. We're at 60%, or a week and a half ago, we were 60% on the water and sewer. We applied for water and sewer permits to construct. The state got those actively in review, and we should have it back in about 45 days. We're actually probably at about 90% now. That job's moving much quicker, and we'll be able to start the bidding process soon. Also on the bonding, we've been working First Tron. We're trying to get a small bond set up for y'all. And when I mean small, about a $300,000 bond to capture the increment that's being created. If Truist has not responded back to our request, and they finally responded last week to our request, but hasn't given us a quote, so we've reached out to the People's Bank of Iowa, who's constructing a bank here, and we've reached out to Travelers Rest Bank. Both indicated they're willing to look at providing us a bond to capture the increment. So we may have y'all bond orders back in July to read that. Again, just the Central and Clemson annexation property purchases. The owners of the plant, we're meeting the 10th because we have to have Clemson and we have to have Anderson County sign off and relinquish the area to the city of Central. So we've got to go over that with both of them to get their approval from the governing body. Riverside Middle School, on the 28th, y'all approved additional money for the study on that. We notified Tri-County Tech. So we'll be working that. And Mikasa, which is, I know, it's affecting a lot of people. We've put out the notice to close the road. We've got a quote on it. It's a sinkhole. It's starting at about $62,000, maybe less when we get in there, maybe more when we get in there. We have $90,000 in our road money that's still left over in our paving budget that we'll be using to fix that. And it will take, on the short side, a week, on the long side, 2 weeks for us to dig down. We're gonna have to dig down all the way to bedrock to come back up with the new road, install the wing walls, which is what's going to hold the road back in place because you have some water running through it. and then set all the new pipes. And we have a fiber optic line, a sewer line, and a water line on the way.
So, and Pendleton's not the only, anybody listen to the news, no, this is not just a problem here, it's a lot of places. So is this a aging infrastructure, or is this, it just seems that we're having all these sinkholes occurring across the country about now, so what are they saying?
It's, in our case, it's a little bit of aging infrastructure or pipe. We have some reinforced concrete pipe under the road, and it's split at the joint and has let the water run through and run under the adjacent pipe. It's also had the type of road construction we used in the past. We didn't build on a base, we built on clay.
Okay,
And so that makes it extremely difficult when you go back to repave. So this water, and when it starts taking the clay, because you don't have a base, you don't have anywhere for the water to infiltrate out of, it just takes the whole thing.
so is there not some type of equipment that you can predetermine where there may be sinkholes or anything like that? Because, this is something that comes out of the blue.
This is the second one we've had in 2 months. Really, I don't, without doing a whole stormwater investigation, you're really not going to know, because the stormwater was not really standardized.
Right.
Way back then, it was just haphazard. So these come up. And so when we build things now, we have a lot more as-built drawings. We have a lot more other stuff. We're using catch basins. A lot of these things aren't using catch basins. They're using grates that are sitting in the ground, or this case, it's not even a grate. It's a pipe that's in the side of an earthen area, and you're just hoping the water hits it. Now the pipe's separated.
Mm-hmm.
So there's nothing to stop the water, and it's just going to take what it takes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I have a question about the Central Road Pump Station. I know you spent some time out there today, but you skipped it on your report.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did, didn't I?
Maybe you wanted to skip it, but I'm gonna bring you back to it.
No. We actually had the pre-construction today with SRF, which is State Revolving Loan Fund people, and our engineers and the contractor. We signed a notice to proceed today. They have 250 days from the day to reach substantial completion, 280 from the day to reach completion. And again, that one has already been hit by tariffs. Our pumps, which are flight pumps, have a $6,000 tariff on them right now, above the bid that we had. So we will have to reimburse the contractor for that under the agreements. But that, we have a good contractor. Moorhead Construction is actually an excellent contractor. And I'm really glad they got that job, because that's going to be a very difficult job that close to that apartment complex. And that close to that creek bed too. So,
All right, 2 other things. On your transactions, you're reporting the 859 and then the 1164. Can you next month let me know how that compares to last year? July of last year, just seeing what kind of progress we're making towards the online transactions. And then one other thing I'd like to ask is, the guys did a great job cleaning the sidewalks, but over here by the school district, there's some erosion. It's almost brought enough soil back over to cover the sidewalk. Can you reach out to the superintendent and ask him to address that erosion issue over there? Thank you.
I just walked up today, so.
It's just about covering the sidewalk again. It's just really sad that it didn't take that long to get that done. Thank you.
Anybody else got any questions? No, thank you, Steve. Appreciate it. All right, next, we have our last report, but certainly not least, from our planning coordinator here for the strategic plan update, Councilwoman Lynn Merchant.
Thank you. The team 1 is working on branding. They have reached out to the community looking for collaborators. And if you're a collaborator, you're not going to serve on the strategic team forever. You're just going to come in and help for a couple of meetings. unless you want to join the team maybe. But that has been on Facebook, I think, and Amber's going to post it up here. If you have those skills or if you're interested in participating, sharing your expertise on branding, with a statement, statement of work or the request for proposal. If you're interested in writing that, if you have that skill to write those, the rebranding enhancement project, brand identities, research or professional background in executing or maintaining municipal brand. If you have any of those skill sets, they'd be glad to have you join them for a couple of meetings. Team 2 is working primarily on their funding, their payment and
Compensation.
Compensation, there you go, thank you, could not
Sorry.
remember the word. Their compensation plan, but they also met with Team 1 to talk about branding and how the branding effort will impact both teams separately, but then also together, and I think both teams came away with a much clearer understanding of that. And Team 3 is wrapping up our efforts on wayfinding for the parking, and Amber is going to pull up. We have marked all the parking lots. So if you Google, or anybody visiting Pendleton Googles parking Pendleton, South Carolina, you will come up with this location. And then scroll down. There you go. If you click on any of those locations and the map or the list view, as you can see, it's going to tell you the number of spots, the walking time to get to downtown, and what kind of slope that is. So that's available to everybody. That's on public knowledge. So we're doing that. We're also working on a QR code that we will post on around the square, close places where people will be passing through looking for parking. They'll be able to scan that QR code. It'll send you to that website. So we hope to have those done by the end of the month. So
Again, and I cannot emphasize this enough, everybody is not on Facebook. Everybody is not on social media. Everybody is not going to use the QR code. So what are we doing to tell other people, I don't do all this. I can, but I don't.
Well, I do think that's the reason I have been working on making sure that if you Google it, then you can get to Pendleton parking. And I think that's going to be the way if you pull into parking. Pull into Pendleton, I think that's the way a lot of people will look for parking in downtown. The places have all been marked. I think they've done some of the thermoplasting in some of the locations. So I think we're trying to put it out there as publicly as possible where that all the municipal parking lots are marked, and now they're all labeled on the website if anybody needs to search.
Again, like I say, it's just to me, and it's not only Pendleton, it's everybody. Everybody thinks that everybody's on social media, but the newsflash is there's some people who cannot afford a cell phone, cannot afford a computer, and we still tend to overlook this. And usually, it's an older and lower income population that is denied this. And to me, you can't serve a community when you only serve the privileged. And you may not think you're privileged because you have social media and you have access to a computer or access to a cell phone, but newsflash, that does make you privileged, especially in the eyes of those who are lesser than economically.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. You will see some of these places, and this might be something we can work on because I'm on that team with you. Maybe if we have one of those things where you'll go places, there'll be just a sign that says you are here in a big map. Maybe we have kind of like a kiosk kind of a thing. We might have to work on that with our team a little bit. Just a suggestion from my side.
Thank you. Good suggestion.
Yeah.
We are still struggling a little bit with getting everybody's access to share the worksheets so everybody is informed, but it's not been forgotten. It's just not working as well as we like for it to yet. That's in the report. Thank you for your help.
Yeah, they were making a lot of progress with it. It was good. Thank you. I commend you for your work. Done a lot of good work. Anything else on that? If not, then we'll move on to some action items. First of which will be consideration of awarding bid for Winston Street project improvements. Town Council is requested to award bid for these improvements. 2 bids were received for the project, with the lowest responsible bid submitted by HDH Construction in the amount of $966,319. The scope of work includes converting Winston Street to a one-way street, installing a new sidewalk, and adding security cameras. This project is part of the West Pendleton Neighborhood Revitalization Plan and is funded through a combination of grant and town funds. And really the reason it's going one way is because we don't have enough right of way to put sidewalks on both sides. So that's why the one way, in case anybody's wondering about that. So having said that, any questions or motions or anything?
Do we need a motion to?
I have
approve
one
it?
question.
Yes, sir.
Just about how the town is approaching, our own project management of a job this size. We've already done a bunch of improvements with the same contractor on, West Queen. And, I happen to live right next to there and could sort of see how it goes. I just want to make sure that we are going as our staff, that there is a point of contact for this construction job, and that person is on site once a day, once a week at least. I do not think we had that type level of supervision, and I am in the construction industry, and I can tell you, you don't get your money's worth out of the project if there isn't someone on the client side that is managing the job.
By managing,
That means you can't just say, oh, this contractor, they're good, they're out there working. Nobody from the town is leading the job forward. We're just relying on the contractor. For example, one of the flumes was placed 12 feet from where the low point in the road actually was, which ended up generating costs at the end of the job. And still, there's a lot of aggregate and stuff running down the road. If there's somebody there who's looking around, trying to identify what the problems are during the job, they can address those concerns as they come up. You can't just wait until the end and then, oh, what about this? What about that? I just know that, I know that we struggle to always have the amount of man hours and staff hours to accomplish all these things, but we are spending taxpayer money to get this work done, and I want to see a bigger effort from the town side to check on how these jobs are going.
So we're gonna have to hire an engineer or construction person?
No,
How is this?
I mean, it's not really my place. It's kind of Steve's call on how he wants to do with the staff, but I think with Owen and Jay has a lot of construction experience. Somebody who can understand what is to be done and what should be done on the job site and can check in and validate and ask what is going on, not just, all right, we'll walk through when we get to 80% completion or whatever.
But can you, and I understand what you're saying, but do you, as far as checks and balances in these types of things, because you're in construction, can the client say, we want to update on site each
They
week?
can set their own meeting.
No, I'm just saying, so is that something we need to contractually do? Okay.
No. I just think I'm putting it out there, hey. I've
No,
seen,
I agree with you, because otherwise you're throwing good money after bad and then having to throw some more on top of it.
I mean, I think we got a good product in the last project. There were some problems along the way. Some of them I had to call in myself as I saw them happening. I just think we need somebody checking in.
Good point. Anything else on it?
Other than that, I would make a motion that we approve the contract.
A second. All right, we have a motion second. All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries unanimous. All right, next, we have consideration of approving the installation of a four-way stop at East Main Street and South Depot Street. Town received the following notice from SCDOT regarding the intersection of East Main and South Depot. The town has also received several complaints about the vision issue at the intersection. So we got this from DOT, and it basically is addressed saying, "Good morning, sir. We were approached by a Pendleton resident about the intersection. They were particularly concerned about the North Depot leg. The customer claimed there was a new butcher shop at the corner, and patrons parking along East Main were blocking the line of sight from North Depot," which is true. We conducted a field review, including a turning movement count. We indeed did see patrons parking along East Main Street frontage of the butcher shop. This parking action blocks the line of sight on East Main from North Depot. It says that I did see that the butcher shop has parking in the rear, but they also have a nice outdoor eating area in the front along East Main. I doubt there will be much success trying to force this owner to eliminate parking along East Main. To that end, we wondered what the appetite for an always stop is here. If you think this is the right direction to go, we discuss with council, get back to us. So that's basically what we're doing now. He's attached a turning movement count to the email. A check of the crash history shows one right angle crash from the North Depot leg and the westbound East Main Street leg in August of 2024. The time of that crash was around 4 p.m. There is a real potential for patrons to have been parked at the butcher shop, blocking the line of sight. There were no other reported crashes at the intersection between January 2022 and December 2024. So it's up to council. Any comments, or what's your pleasure?
All for it. The more stop signs in town, the better.
I'm good with it.
I'm for it also.
All right, in that case, would you like to make a motion?
Yes.
All right, we got a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion and a second, all in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you. All right, then we have a consideration of waiving fees for special event application for Pendleton High School. PHS has requested to use the field at Veterans Park for its annual softball camp to be held in June. This is a minimal request from the town and would include waiving the standard event and rental fees associated with the field's use. Camp provides an opportunity for local youth to develop their softball skills under the guidance of high school coaching staff and players. Council is asked to consider approving the use of the field and waiving all associated fees in support of this community-focused program. So having said that, would anybody like to make a motion on that or discuss?
So what does your rec association say about that? Because it seems to me that and I'm not saying we need to charge them, and I'm just asking because rec is in need of funds. So would this not be an opportunity for the rec association to have funding? And if not, then I say the kids in the rec association, are they charging people to go to this camp? Does anybody know?
Yeah, they are.
They are?
There is a fee associated, yes.
Pardon?
Yes, ma'am, there is a fee associated with it.
Do you know how much it is?
It's on the application, I believe it's $60.
It's in your.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's in here.
Well, and my question is this, are they going to allow the kids in the rec association, are they gonna waive their fee? Okay,
Those details are not in the application.
okay.
Well, I think any collaboration with Anderson Ford is a good thing, and I can't speak for the PRA at all in regards to what their feeling is, but I'm not sure if it's that. I don't think the money would directly go to the PRA. It's not, that's not how it operates, right?
It's a town
Right.
park.
I make a motion to approve.
A second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you. All right, next we have consideration of submitting a nomination to the city of Anderson to serve on the 1 cent sales tax committee. So in accordance with state law, Anderson County is required to establish a committee to support the proposed 1 cent sales tax initiative for transportation and infrastructure improvements across the county. State law also designates the city of Anderson with the authority to appoint members to this committee. And this is about road improvements, which will be on referendum in November. To assist with this process, the city of Anderson is requesting that Pendleton and Belton, this reads a little different what was on here, but it's just, they're just asking Pendleton and Belton within Anderson County to nominate one individual with relevant experience in road construction. The city of Anderson will make final appointments to a committee from the pool of nominees submitted. Mayor Roberts of Anderson called me Friday evening and asked that we nominate somebody from Pendleton and consider nominating an individual with road construction expertise to represent the town of Pendleton. So this was a real short notice because Mayor Roberts wants to know by the 6th of June, which is coming up fast. So we scurried around, put it on the agenda. I went out, kind of talked to some people, and I had the pleasure of meeting a lady that lives in the preserve, and her husband, his name is Joey Brown. They live over there, and he is a civil engineer. He lives here in Pendleton. He's from Arkansas. He's a second generation engineer. His dad owns an engineering company in Arkansas and works for the equivalent of SCDFT in Arkansas. And I spoke with him. He is willing to do it, and his company that he works for in Greenville has said to him that they would make time for him to be a part of it because they like for their employees to get involved in local communities and that kind of thing. So having said that, I would like to recommend that we appoint Joey Brown, who's this gentleman who's willing to do it, who's a civil engineer. And I would like to tell Mayor Roberts that we would like for him to serve on behalf of Pendleton, if that's okay with everybody. All right.
I make a motion to approve the appointment of Joey Brown.
Okay.
For the nomination? Is it an
The
appointment or a
nomination.
Nomination. Yes. Okay, so we got a motion approved.
There's a
There's
second.
Okay, all in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you, folks. All right, next we have consideration of a resolution of town council, rescheduling the regular meeting for July 2025, regular council meeting. Town council will consider a resolution to reschedule the July 2025 regular meeting from July 1st to July 8th due to the Independence Day holiday and anticipated scheduling conflicts with residents and council members. So I'm not going to read that. Do we have a motion to do that, or is it?
Motion.
Okay.
Second.
Our motion, we have a motion second. All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries.
I mean, I'm not gonna be able to make it, so I'm gonna vote against the. Charter.
Okay, all right, all right.
I would prefer to be there.
I get it, I get it. Okay.
Or you can take us all on vacation with you.
So,
I know, me and you can be style buddies wherever we go, Barbara.
Be what, buddy?
Style buddies, you know.
okay.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Gotcha, well, motion carries.
That's what I do when I travel. Live out loud.
All right, good deal, Vince. All right, so next we have consideration of the resolution of Pendleton Town Council to authorize individual council member allocations to nonprofit organizations serving the town of Pendleton. Town council will consider approving a resolution allocating funds to various nonprofit organizations for fiscal year 25-26. These allocations are intended to support the work of local organizations that provide valuable services and programs benefiting the Pendleton community. The proposed funding amounts have been reviewed as part of the annual budget process. Approval of this resolution will authorize the disbursement of funds to the selected nonprofits as outlined. So what's council's pleasure on that?
Approve. Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion? If none, all in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries unanimous. All right, next we have consideration of a resolution by Pendleton Town Council to establish a process for reviewing and approving a major change to a planned development, commonly known as a PUD zone property. On February 28, 2025, Center Park Group and CPG Development LLC submitted an application to Town of Pendleton requesting a major change to the zoning of two properties within the town limits known as Villages at Town Creek. The Villages at Town Creek encompasses approximately 79.72 acres and was annexed into the town of Pendleton by ordinance number 05-013 in 2005 and zoned as planned development. Because this request from the developer changes or alters the concept and general characteristics of the original PUD, it qualifies as a major change. Major changes to existing plan development exceed the authority of staff level approval and require action at a higher level. Under the town's current zoning ordinance, a major change to a PUD must receive approval from Pendleton Town Council before the Planning Commission can review it. While researching this process and after reviewing the South Carolina Comprehensive Planning Enabling Act of 1994, it was noted that South Carolina state law requires a planning commission to first review and provide a recommendation on any proposed major change to a PUD before the matter is brought to town council. The resolution being presented tonight is to acknowledge that our current town ordinances and state law conflict with each other and to establish the process for a request and approval of a major change to any property zoned as planned unit development. The recommended action, of course, is to approve this resolution.
I make the motion that we approve the resolution.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you. Next, we have consideration of second and final reading of an ordinance amending the water and sewer use ordinance of the town of Pendleton in certain limited regards and particulars only with respect to number one, the manner of resolving disputed water or sewer billings, and two, correcting Scrivener's errors related to references into the town's water system when reference to the town's sewer system was intended. This is second and final reading of this. Y'all are familiar with it, so is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion second. All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you.
How did you get on that last one?
I raised,
Okay, I missed
Yeah.
I know.
Gotcha.
Okay, and now we have consideration of second and final reading of an ordinance to amend the official budget for the town of Pendleton fiscal year 24-25. This is second and final reading. Do we have a motion?
Yeah, at first, just so I think we had a good work session last week that was able to clarify a lot of things, and so I make a motion to approve.
Okay, have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion second. All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries unanimous. All right, and that brings us to second and final reading of an ordinance to set the town of Pendleton's budget year, fiscal year 2025-2026, including the town's fee schedule and other matters related thereto. This is the second and final reading. Council will consider the proposed fiscal year 2025-2026 budget, which represents a well-balanced financial plan aligned with the priorities outlined in the town's strategic plan. The town continues to manage several large-scale capital projects and has incorporated multiple new funding sources not previously included in past budgets. Since the last call budget meeting, $64,000 has been added for the fire department, $40,000 designated for equipment, and $24,000 for stipend. Additionally, $64,000 has been allocated to Pendleton Recreation Association, commonly known as PRA, including $40,000 for capital items, $20,000 in other support, and $4,000 as outlined in the existing operating agreement. The town attorney is currently drafting the necessary contracts for these appropriations. Staff will continue preparing a formal budget message and a question and answer sheet for Strategic Team 3 to help clearly communicate the budget's contents, including funded items and priorities still to be addressed. Having said all that, this is second final reading. What's council's pleasure? Is it motion?
I just would like to clarify, and Steve, because there was some confusion last year, will you meet with those two organizations as quickly as possible to make sure they understand how that funding must be spent or allocated or before that, about the disbursement of those funds from the town's budget?
We're hoping to have some actual contract documents that we can take to them so they can go over after the attorney drafts them.
Okay.
But yes, we
If you'll just reach out to them and say, this is coming or whatever, so,
don't spend anything until we get you the documents.
there we go. Thank you very much.
All right, very good. Is any more discussion needs to take place, or is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries unanimous. All right, now do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries unanimous. We're adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you coming out tonight.
Y'all don't go anywhere yet.